name?
Tentacles!
Tentacles! Tentacles! Tentacles! Tentacles! Tentacles!
An elder dragon that floats through the sky, a bite of earth, a drink of forest. It's a veritable god of the sky, made of the richest soil. Ancient trees grow thick on its back, like on a mountain. It's rumored to live near a forlorn, remote tower. This, then, ladies and gentlemen, fellow hunters, is Yama Tsukami, an utterly bizarre alien creature, drifting on high, a floating mountain dragon. It is utterly in a class all of its own, and it has tentacles.
Nice.
It is rare, so rare, in fact, it is rarely seen. Oh, that's getting you into the lore mood. Are you feeling it?
Art thou feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
So, Yama Tsukami, then, is, well, I mean, as I said, just, what am I looking at? It has literal trees growing out of its back, grass, flowers. It is... Well, it is a floating mountain. It's not a hyperbole or an exaggeration. It has an entire ecosystem atop it. How and why this is growing out of seemingly its very flesh is very much a mystery, but the creature itself hoovers up great swaths of land, animal matter, any given plant that is caught up, and indeed water as well, and essentially it just converts it all into itself? This is theorized as to how it actually floats, because essentially what I'm trying to say, alright, how this was first presented to the guild, they explained it, and the guild's like, so what you're telling me, there is a floating, no wings, there's a floating monster that's got, like, multiple tentacles. It's absolutely giant, capable of hoovering up the land itself. It's apparently eating soil. In fact, it's attracted to only the most fertile soil. It's incredibly octopus-like, yet has seemingly the world's freakiest human teeth that's just so uncannily and it seems to hatch and breed literal insects inside its body while having its own entire micro-ecosystem atop its back, and it just goes where the breeze takes it, and this is the first time we've seen one.
Yes.
You can understand then why the response was, what the fuck are you talking about? Because this thing is, it has to be the just straight up pure weirdest creature in all of Monster Hunter. I can't really think of anything that can challenge it, to be fair. It's a floating ball that's essentially entirely just a mouth and stomach with two relatively, for its body size, small eyes that vacuum cleans the very earth below it and gently wafts along and tentacles things. It seems to convert the matter that it does absorb and distribute it as helium-like gas, which is how it stays up, and the tentacles can be used as somewhat as a propeller and rudder system to kind of get it to where it goes, but a lot of the time it's overcome by, well, the wind and ends up really getting too close to human settlements and has led it to have a reputation of actually attacking, because it will hoover up anything underneath it, be that buildings and people. So it's technically omnivorous, but more accurately it's I don't give a fuck what I put in my mouth-orous, which isn't a technical classification, but one that very much accurately describes this freaky floating foliage of a beast. I do love this guy. I really do. I honestly, I think he's magnificent, and it's a shame he only got really one proper appearance, and then we've never seen from him again. I think it's a huge waste for such a memorable, well, the encounter itself not the most memorable. The tower in question that he hangs out at is one of the few places that he comes to rest and actually get a little bit of energy back, which is why you have the opportunity to fight him as you climb to the top and stake your challenge. And he does have a few little neat little moves where he will essentially get his Beyblade on. Rotate round and you have to duck and weave, and yeah, his mouth really is just it unnerves me, it unsettles me.
Well, that was weird.
And he has a symbiotic relationship with the Great Thunderbug, the electric ball of buzz that can both shock and paralyze. They breed incessantly in his mouth cavity and then will fight to defend him in return for having such favorable, well, nesting opportunities. And these thunderbugs that he produces explode on contact, because of course they do. It's even possible to get on his head in some instances and harvest rare dragon moss and dragon wood. Dragon wood being quite a parasitic indeed in nature, so whether it entirely is up to Yama Tsukami that this, well, green pasture is planted firmly on his scalp is up for debate. But what isn't is how high up the food chain he is, given that he eats just everything. He makes a Devil Joe blush, and he's just not really challengeable. You have to get up to him in the first place, but he is massive. His bulk is potent. He's not the most offensively inclined, but he doesn't really need to be. It's just not worth the effort for nearly every creature to actually attempt to take this down. He is mysterious and fits into no known category, so of course he got slapped with Elder Dragon, and it just really is. I mean, look at it. It's hard to even properly lore something like this because so little is known about it. Now, it can use the gas it produces as kind of a defensive shield, not quite Kushala-like, but enough to throw off any more accurate attempts at taking it down. And then the tentacles themselves are quite lightweight, but they're also very sticky, which implies that he uses them for plunging into the ground and ripping out, or at least loosening huge amounts of soil and undergrowth for him to then... love me some soil in the morning. Though the end of the tentacles is sporting some quite vicious claws that can be used in a whip-like motion to scythe through rock, tree, and indeed flesh alike if he's really feeling particularly threatened. It can also anchor itself into the ground, or really anything around it with these, in order to prevent it from being dislodged by, well, too strong a breeze, or, well, perhaps a would-be challenger. They are very multi-purpose. They're like a, well, Swiss Army knife of tentacles, which is something I need to now add to my bucket list to acquire. But the point remains, he has a pretty good command of them, but he's not really aggressive. In fact, not at all. He just does. Any damage he causes is incidental due to his wanton suction, but he just floats and is. That is how it be for Yama Tsukami. And are we really gonna hold accidentally swallowing an entire village against him. There's a lot of people in the world. There's not many Yama Tsukamis. You gotta have some perspective here. What's the little bloodshed? In fact, it's the blood that supposedly the leading theory provides the main source of nutrients, which grows his, well, mountain back and fills it with life. So it's essentially a blood forest that he's carrying around with him, which is a really nice image, isn't it? Just, oh, yay! Though a lot of hunters do find themselves gathering up there and getting some rare flora that they otherwise would struggle to find, especially the aforementioned dragon moss and wood. But it's like he acts as his own insulated bubble ecosystem. It's like if someone decided to take one of the elephants or the turtle and make it a monster, but also leave the entire earth on its back, just in case you felt like visiting. And to be fair, I can totally get behind that. A weird, floating, covered in grass, human-mouthed...
So you see, that's where the trouble began. That smile. That damn smile.
Thunderbug spewing mass of moss that just exists because it fucking wants to. I mean, what more can you even say at that point? You just gotta respect it. You really have to. It's a fun spectacle fight, especially the first time, but he gets a real chore to farm. But at the same time, he has so much potential. He really does. And I wish I could be more specific with really anything when it comes to this guy, but it just... Honestly, his theme song, when you ask, wait a minute, how does he, is...
Nobody knows.
And due to the nature of it, I absorb all of the things, ha 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 ha, you get a lot of very different Yama Tsukamis in size, in even shape, and especially in what's growing on their back. In fact, the one that we encounter is theorized to be perhaps even a juvenile, so they may end up absolute colossi in the sky and come to rest and haven't moved in so long. People think they are just a genuine mountain that any point could actually take off, which is scary but pretty damn cool thought. You're just walking along and suddenly the entire seemingly area around you starts rumbling and rising into the air. And then you look down and see a huge swath of ground being pulled aside and blinking back at you with this piercing orange eye. And at that point, you beg for mercy. Yama Tsukami, everyone. I mean, what do you think? This really is one where I have to just ask, what do you think? I need to know. I want it in world. I really do. I think it's a monster that needs to come back. It needs a reimagining. It needs, well, to be worthy of its just enigmatic tentacled status and a real set-piece fight with this, following it around on its back to the side of it. Yeah, oh god, imagine how epic it would be to fight Yama Tsukami, but you're like to the side of it. Oh, thanks, brain. You know what I'm saying, right? You could have a lot of stages to this. You could have, well, a very Kulve Tarothi experience, everyone working together. You could give him a lot of parts to break, really expand the back. Hell, how cool would it one day to get an environment that is a potentially adult, fully grown, or at least ancient, absolutely gargantuan Yama Tsukami, and you are genuinely running through a forest fighting monsters, on the back of it, and occasionally his tentacles maybe become an environmental hazard as they whip round onto his back, or they rumbling and shifting as he maneuvers through his lofty home actually plays into. Maybe the plane of the land you're on shifts as he does. Imagine how much fun you could have playing with an environment atop a monster as freaky as this. I just think he shouldn't be left to history's pages to fade and fade and fade. He has so much going for him, our lovely helium friend. Does that mean when he speaks, it's going to be like, hi? Because that would be just the best. Oh my god. Especially looking at him. He has, by the way, the lovely little sack underneath him. That's his stomach sack, where he just keeps everything that he is wind tunneled into his gob, and it just kind of bulges, and eventually it will get shrunken and a lot flatter as he gets literally the crap beat out of him. So, for now then, that's Yama Tsukami. I hope you've enjoyed this journey we've just been on together, and I'll see you next time. Let me know what you'd like. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.